Before we begin, I have just one request. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and let the world outside fade away. Because some stories aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be felt. Every whisper, every breath, every sound behind you might not be just in the story. So, are you ready? Let's begin. I hear her breathing. I don't know why I bought the house. Maybe because I was tired of running. Maybe because grief makes you do stupid, desperate things. Maybe I thought coming back would change something, bring her back somehow. It was an old farmhouse, 100 miles from the city, nestled in the woods like a secret it didn't want to share. I'd inherited it after my fiancée Claire passed away in a fire that started in her apartment while I was out buying takeout. The building had collapsed before anyone could reach her. They said she didn't suffer. They lied. I could hear her scream every night after that, hear it in my sleep, in the walls, sometimes in the whine of the wind. It took me 6 months to even open the envelope she left behind. A will. And this place. The childhood home of her estranged family, untouched and forgotten since her parents died when she was a teenager. Claire had never spoken about it. Whenever I asked, she'd smile with that quiet, pained look and change the subject. Now, walking up the gravel path to the house, I understood why. The place felt wrong. It wasn't the dust or the peeling paint. It wasn't the broken porch swing or the window panes like dark eyes watching me. It was the silence. It pressed down on me like the air didn't want me to breathe. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The smell hit me first, like mold, rot, and something metallic. Blood, maybe, or rust. The floorboards creaked beneath my boots as if groaning with memories. I could almost hear them, the fights, the screams, the weeping. Or maybe that was just me. I set my duffel bag down in the foyer beside the stairway Claire once must have run down as a little girl. I tried to imagine her here, laughing, alive, but all I could see was her face in the fire. All I could hear was her voice that night before she died, whispering into the phone, "Don't leave me alone." I hadn't listened. Now I was here, doing what people do when they're broken, searching for answers where there were none, seeking punishment I probably deserved. The house didn't creak like old homes usually do. It whispered. That first night, I lay on the sofa, wrapped in a musty quilt I found in the linen closet. The fireplace hadn't worked in years, so I shivered beneath my coat. The wind outside sounded like voices, and every so often I swore I heard footsteps upstairs. But every time I looked, there was no one. Just old rooms filled with dust and silence. At 2:37 a.m., I heard breathing. Not mine, not the wind. Something slow, shallow, and close. I opened my eyes, barely daring to move. In the dim light of the moon filtering through the dirty window, I saw nothing, but I could still hear it. That rhythmic inhale, exhale, just inches from my ear, and then a whisper. So soft it was almost a thought. "Don't leave me." I bolted upright. No one was there. I didn't sleep again that night. The next day, I explored, not out of courage, but because I had to prove to myself that I wasn't going insane. The house had 2 floors and an attic. On the second floor were 4 bedrooms. Claire's old room still had faded wallpaper of stars and moons. A child's drawing hung on the wall, a girl holding hands with a stick figure made of scribbles and darkness. Underneath, written in childish scrawl, "My friend who lives in the walls." That should have been enough for me to leave, but I didn't. I spent the day cleaning, uncovering old furniture and forgotten corners of memory. I found photos, Claire as a baby, her parents, a dog I'd never heard about, and then a journal. Her mother's. The entries started out ordinary recipes, weather, garden notes. But a shift happened around page 76. Open quote, Claire is talking to it again. She says he lives behind the wallpaper, says he tells her secrets. I thought it was just her imagination, but last night I heard him too. Close quote. Open quote, the lights flicker when he's near. The air gets so cold, Claire doesn't sleep anymore. She says he watches, close quote, open quote. He said he wants to take her, like he took the others, close quote. I stopped reading. My breath came fast. My hands shook. The lights flickered just for a second. Then again, and again. I turned slowly toward the hallway, and for a moment, a flicker, I saw a shape, tall, thin, crawling just out of sight along the edge of the wall like a stain spreading under skin. That night, I drank. A lot. I told myself it was just the house, my mind, grief, trauma, all of it. I had lost someone I loved, My brain was trying to find her in the emptiness. That's all. But deep down, I knew better. Because when I finally drifted into sleep on that same creaky couch, I dreamed of her. Claire, standing at the top of the stairs, staring at me with eyes I didn't recognize. Her skin was pale, almost gray. Her lips were cracked. Her mouth opened, but the voice that came out wasn't hers. It was deeper, older. He wants me to stay. I tried to move, couldn't. She stepped down the stairs slowly, each step creaking louder than it should. He doesn't like you here. The floor beneath me trembled. He wants another. I woke up, choking on smoke. But there was no fire, just the smell. That thick, acrid scent of burning flesh and hair. I stumbled to the sink and splashed cold water on my face, gripping the edges of the counter like I might fall through the floor. In the mirror, something moved behind me, but when I turned, nothing was there. The next few days blurred. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating. The house felt smaller, the walls closer, the whispers louder. They spoke in Claire's voice now, but twisted, mocking, begging. I found more drawings in her room. All of them showed the same thing. The scribble man with long arms and no face standing beside her bed. One showed him inside the bed. The lines were frantic, angry. One night, the scratching began from inside the walls, faint at first, then louder. It circled me around the living room, the hallway, even the bathroom. No matter where I stood, it followed like a predator beneath the floorboards. I screamed at it, punched the wall, cursed the house, cursed myself. Then it stopped, total silence. I thought I'd won, or maybe broken something, until I looked down, blood pooling from under the wall, thick, dark, smelling of iron and rot. I backed away, and then I heard her voice again. Claire, crying from inside the wall. Please, she whispered. He won't let me go. I pressed my ear to the surface. My heart pounded like a drum. Claire? I whispered. Is it really you? No answer. Just breathing. That slow, cold breathing. I ran out of the house into the woods under a sky that felt too heavy to hold stars. I don't remember how long I stayed out there. Hours? Days? When I returned, something had changed. The house no longer pretended. There were scratches on the ceiling, words carved into the wood with fingernails. Another. Another. The lights were all dead. The air was freezing. I found the attic door open. Something pulled me toward it. Inside was a smell I can't describe, like death and wet leaves and something burnt. The attic was pitch black, but I saw him. The quiet man. He stood in the corner, watching, not moving. A smear of blackness darker than shadow, with hands too long, arms too thin, and no face. He didn't speak. But I heard him. She's mine. I turned. Claire stood behind me. Her skin was cracked, her eyes empty. She touched my hand. I asked you not to leave me, she said. Tears burned my eyes. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry. He said he'll trade, she murmured. Someone to stay, someone to keep the house company. I stared at her. She smiled, and it broke my heart. It wasn't hers. You'll do. Everything went black. I don't remember leaving. I just remember waking up outside, covered in mud, the sun rising over the tree line. The house behind me looked calmer. Still, I never went back. They never found Claire's body, not in the apartment, not in the house, but I know where she is. And some nights when the world gets quiet and my thoughts begin to rot, I hear her breathing again, in the walls.